the secret rainbow, the world's biggest faceted gemstone. The gemstone which holds the crown amongst the jewels, the biggest of all faceted gems, is the secret rainbow. This most exceptional gem is not only the mother of all gems by virtue of its size, it also has a fantastic rainbow which is very rarely found in a gemstone. The interference colors seen in different places in the gem when the light hits the stone in a particular direction must be some of the most intense ever found in a jewel. The secret rainbow, a noble topaz of 50,200 carat, weighs more than 1.5 times as much as the second biggest gem, the El Dorado, with 31,000 carat. The particular cut of the biggest jewel on earth is a combination of a step cut on the front side and an arrangement of culet grooves in its back. The backside grooves are carved with the so-called critical angle of topaz, which gives the best reflection of light. When placed upright, the arrangements of the grooves suggest a sunrise situation early morning, with the rainbow unfolding high above in the sky. As a third element, a dragon is carved into the topaz on one side, playing with the rainbow. The dragon, a supernatural power. A dragon is a mythological figure which appears in all ancient cultures, all around the world. Since there is no animal which could have served as a prototype for the dragon beliefs, scientists wonder from where this mythical figure comes. It appears in the culture of the Mayas as well as on the other side of the globe, in Australia. It is there in China and the Polynesian Islands, in India, Europe, Africa. It figures in the belief of the old Vikings and in Christianity. It is just everywhere. And how is it that this mythical being pops up independently in all cultures with exactly the same characteristics? If there is no prototype in the outside world, the mythical figure of a dragon must then be a replica of an example from the inner worlds. Obviously, dragons then do exist, like fairies or goblins, which also appear in all cultures, but it requires a well-trained inner eye to see them. And like other entities, dragons represent a particular force or aspect in the occult worlds. Although the physiognomy of all dragons is pretty much the same, and also the character features, but the evaluation of the dragon changes drastically from culture to culture. While in Europe the dragon is regarded as a wild monster which is creating chaos and destruction, in Asia it is regarded as a wise and gentle being, a symbol for luck and prosperity. A few character traits of the dragon, however, are common in all culture circles. The dragon's affinity to treasures and its instinct to guard and defend the treasure. The rainbow, symbol for a bridge between heaven and earth. The rainbow is symbolizing in all cultures a connection between the divine and the earthly. In Greek mythology, the goddess Iris, the heavenly messenger, steps down to us on the rainbow. In the Viking mythology, the rainbow is the connecting bridge between Middle Earth, our world, and Asgard, the world of gods. The picture of a dragon in front of a rainbow can symbolize many things. Here, the symbolic image would be the dragon guarding the most valuable treasure that exists. The entrance to the divine worlds, to wisdom, knowledge, to unlimited magical powers and unlimited bliss. The dragon guards this treasure by directing all our attention towards the small things of our daily life, so that we may not find the door to the divine worlds, which is hidden in all of us. The secret rainbow and its symbolism. The body of the world's biggest gem, with its special cut depicting a sunrise, stands for the beginning of the day, for time, for our day, or our time, for life as such. At the heart of the gem, at the center of our life, stands, symbolized by the rainbow patch, the one big goal towards which we all travel. The entrance to the higher levels of consciousness, to the divine realms, to unlimited bliss, and the transformation of all limitations and shortcomings of this creation. However, this entrance, the biggest treasure which everybody carries inside his own heart, is guarded by a dragon, who makes sure we will not find this treasure. By his play and the play of life, he diverts our attention to the small details of life, so that we are blind for the door to the inner worlds. The door which is hidden, and where only from a certain standpoint we can see the iridescent light shining through, indicating that the door actually is wide open. Discovering the world's biggest gemstone. There are things in life one does only once, and one knows there can never be a second time. When a raw topaz of a very unusual size and an excellent purity crossed Niveau élevé's way in 2017, the huge potential which was embedded in this future king of all gems was not apparent to the Afghan raw stone dealer who offered it. The stone had been discovered a year ago in Brazil, in the area of Minas Gerais, and had already changed hands several times, but nobody had the competence and the vision to bring it to the biggest gemstone ever polished. So it came for the price of clean topaz rough, which is sawn to small pieces, then polished into gemstones for rings or pendants, treated by radiation, and then appearing in the market as the usual blue topaz, which is sold in big quantities in teleshopping or by big discounters. But this was not what Niveau élevé had in mind. Being fully into big sculptures of gemstones, one knew that the three biggest gemstones known are all noble topaz, and this amazing piece of rough could eventually beat them all. The world's largest gemstone at that time was the El Dorado, lying in Madrid in a special collection, with a weight of 31,000 carats. The American golden topaz of 22,892 carats, which is displayed by the National Museum of Natural History in Washington, came second. After the mega gem was purchased, it still took 5 years to polish it and make it to what it is now. There were a number of big difficulties. The most critical one was the fact that topaz always has a basal cleaving plane going through the whole stone. When cutting a topaz, if you apply force in the direction of the cleaving plane, the topaz will just split into two parts. The operation then started with a full year planning phase where the stone was studied and the actual cutting and polishing was prepared. Polishing the biggest gem ever polished. The planning of a big jewel, whether a big diamond or a big gemstone, is always complicated and takes a long time. A small mistake can ruin the whole stone. In our case, there were several hurdles to be overcome. First of all, there was no machinery to polish such a stone. Since never any jewel of this dimension had been cut and polished, it is clear that no equipment for this job was available. So, a new machine had to be designed and constructed. Secondly, there was no gemstone polisher who had the experience to handle such a huge topaz. So the fear was great that while polishing, tensions may develop which would lead to a breaking apart of the stone. The third big task was to develop a design which would not be boring. A small gem with small facets always has a much better sparkling and fire than a big one. Niveau élevé started the operation by importing special glass from Japan, which had the same refraction index as topaz, 163. Then 5 replicas of the rough topaz were to be cast in glass with the intention to polish them in different cuts. This was mainly to test the new machinery, secondly to choose from 5 different options which geometrical shape the gemstone would have. But the attempt failed. The glass crystallized during cooling and became like porcelain. So the exercise had to be repeated with a different type of glass. The polishing of the glass samples itself then took more than 2 years. Again and again, the newly constructed polishing machine had to be optimized. New diamond-impregnated polishing wheels had to be made, or the ultrafine threading of the 3-axis cross-slide had to be improved. Finally, in 2020, the actual polishing of the big topaz started. For polishing rare and important gemstones, there is only one place in this world, Ida Oberstein. And for such a complex work as our big topaz, the most competent and experienced specialist who still knows the old traditional art of fine gem cutting was the teacher and headmaster of the gem cutting school of Ida Oberstein, Mr. Jürgen Christmann. But to handle a gemstone nearly weighing 20 kilograms is a difficult task. So Niveau élevé found a top artist in glass cutting, Samuel Weisenborn, who agreed to participate and assist Jürgen. The dragon on the gemstone was carved by Mrs. Iris Hartenberger. It took 2 years until the last finishing polish was finally done, just a few days before Niveau élevé's summer event, middle of August 2023. All the 3 experts had done a marvelous job and delivered a piece of gem which surpassed all expectations. In May 2024, Gobelin in Lucerne, Switzerland, the world's most reputed gemstone testing laboratory, certified the secret rainbow and gave it an outstanding report and comment. It stated that the stone is extremely large, possesses a high degree of transparency due to the fact that it contains few eye-visible inclusions, and that such gem-quality topaz is rarely encountered in such an exceptional size. It also stated that this is the largest topaz ever tested by the Gobelin lab. The occult powers of topaz according to history. Gemstones are having an effect. Today we value mostly the aesthetic effect, the fire, the play of light in the stone, the deep and sometimes rare colors, and the harmony of its geometry. The high value and rareness of the jewel is another important aspect, and of course the prestige value. In ancient times, however, the stones were primarily valued for their occult powers. The ancient Greek believed that topaz gave them strength and can cure insomnia and has a healing effect on mental diseases. The ancient Romans believed it could protect against poison and would change its color when danger was near. In ancient Egypt, the golden topaz was said to have received its golden glow from the sun god Ra. This made it a powerful talisman, protecting against any kind of harm. The Egyptians also attributed supernatural powers to this gemstone. In India, people were wearing it over the heart, which then would assure a long life, beauty, and intelligence. In the late medieval times and the Renaissance in Europe, topaz was said to protect against evil spell and anger. In any case, it is clear that a beautiful, rare, and valuable gemstone has an effect or a certain power. Whether this effect is psychological, that it strengthens the self-confidence of the wearer, or whether it is a metaphysical or occult effect, is in the end immaterial. We anyway cannot peep behind the curtain which limits our understanding and can fully comprehend all the invisible mechanisms which are at work. The etymological origin of the name topaz. There are 2 theories from where the name topaz has originated. Maybe both are true at the same time. We know that Plinius the Elder has written in his Historia Naturalis. According to Juba, there is crystal on a certain island of the Red Sea, as also in another neighboring island which produces the precious stone known as the topazus. This island was called in ancient Greek Topazios or Topazion. According to Alexander Polyhistor, an ancient Greek writer, the etymological origin of the name topaz, both for the gemstone as also for the island, which was believed to produce topaz, came from ancient Sri Lanka, which exported topaz to Egypt and Greece. This would then indicate that the name topaz relates to the Sanskrit word tapas, meaning heat or fire. If this is the real origin of the name topaz, then there is an interesting parallel to the symbolism of the secret rainbow. The main meaning of the Sanskrit word tapasya, which literally means to generate heat, is the effort to find the higher levels of consciousness, reach self-realization, and finally find a state of union with the divine. To own the world's biggest faceted gemstone. To own a jewel or a treasure is one of the very intrinsic instincts of humans during all times of their history, till today. One can attribute this desire to all kinds of mechanisms, but in the end, to possess a powerful gem gives something in strength, in self-confidence, in inner power, which is not just explainable by psychology. And let us be happy that not all mysteries have been discovered and explained. Let us just appreciate that a fantastic jewel has some power, whatever that may mean. To own the world's biggest faceted gemstone, of course, adds value and power to the brand Niveau élevé. That goes without saying. But it is one of the main declared aims of Niveau élevé to focus also on, and work with, that which is beyond the visible and explicable part of each and everything. So we believe that to own a piece of jewelry, or a watch of Niveau élevé, carries something of all the totality of what Niveau élevé does, owns, researches, invents, produces, propagates. So let the force of the secret rainbow, with its superlative in size, but also with its symbolism and occult meaning, have its life and power in each and every product of Niveau élevé. By owning a product of Niveau élevé, one owns also a part and catches some of the power of the secret rainbow. Like modern physics has proven by the quantum physical optical experiments that parts of the same origin are always linked somehow with each other, even after being at a distance of millions of kilometers. So we believe that every piece of Niveau élevé carries something of each other product of the same origin, and hope that the strength of this topaz, the largest of all faceted jewels, will manifest in all members of the Niveau élevé family.